Hello, this is Joe Yuhan here with a video breakdown for you guys. I want to show you the differences between a hip-centric vertical stride strategy that we see amongst elite runners, but also kind of contrast that with the more horizontal strategies, the less energetic, the less forceful hip strategies that we see in mid-packers. And so before we look at Jim Walmsley, we're going to go and look at the golden hour at Western States from a couple of years ago. And so this isn't a knock on any particular runner, let alone Tex, who was able to grab a buckle a couple of years ago, but it's just a way to kind of really see what a horizontal strategy looks like. And so if we look at Tex here, you can see there's not much verticality occurring in his stride, right? Like he's barely getting off the ground. Again, he's a quarter mile from the finish, so it's quite understandable, but this is a highlight of a horizontal strategy. You can see most of his propulsion is occurring with hip flexion. So we're not seeing a whole lot out of his knees, out of his feet as he kind of comes around the corner here. It is a kind of forward hip flexion of that leg, propelling by lifting, but really swinging forward. So if he was on an elliptical trainer, you can see it's like he is on that low arc, right? So that is, it's a successful strategy to get from point A to point B, but it's not the most efficient one because you can see he's overstriding, a lot of energy is wasted, and he can't cover that much ground very quickly. So if that's sort of the typical strategy that we see amongst trail and ultra running when things get tough, let's show what the elites do. And so let's first go to, I think this is a more textbook fast running stride that isn't necessarily mid-ultra, but I want to show you this. I love this example. This guy is running, this is Mark Cucuzella, who's a running expert in his own right, but he is running barefoot. But I want you to show, this is the kinematics we're looking for, this circularity, right, of the legs coming up and then landing underneath. And I want to slow this down. Okay, we're plenty slow. And so what we may do is actually pause it at some points because I want to show you some aspects of his stride. So what it looks like here, what somebody in a horizontal strategy will do is they will swing, let's say this rear leg will swing, pendulum swing forward, and it'll land in front of them. So it'll be straight leg behind, straight leg forward. But you see what Mark is doing here is he has driven this leg upward, but I want you to watch what happens here. It looks as if he may land long in front of him, but watch what this foot does at the last minute. Boom. It goes right down to the ground. And that is a concentrated effort using his hip extensors to go from that flex position, boom, straight down to the ground, landing underneath him. So same thing, we watched this through here. He has taken that leg and he's about to flex it straight up. And then again, we will see that same strong, powerful foot to ground landing underneath his body. There he is. Again, it looks like, oh, he's going to really reach that leg out, but watch the last minute, last second, boom, underneath. Driving up, boom, underneath, up, boom, underneath, up, immediately down underneath his body. So that's the kinetics. Driving up, pushing down, and a lot of that happens immediately underneath him, going up, and then immediately beneath him, pushing. That's the kinetics, that's the energy that then creates this circle. Driving up, driving straight down to the ground. That creates this really long stride, it creates this fast cadence, and most importantly, it creates a foot under body efficient landing that wastes no energy. Let's put this back up to normal speed and we can really kind of fly through it. That is a fast, efficient cadence, long, powerful strides, and a really efficient foot strike on pavement with bare feet. Moving on, let's go look at Killian Jornet. So Killian has a fantastic stride. It's not perfect. There's some things that he does that by Olympic sprint and distance standards aren't perfect, but for trail ultra running is really fantastic. So we're going to watch him run. This is a slow motion clip, but we're going to see the same things. We're going to see this leg driving up. So his foot, compared to our golden hour gentleman, is a foot and a half up in the air. High knee, high hip. Now watch what happens to that foot as he lands, boom, underneath the ground, or underneath him, quick to the ground. That is his force generation that's going to propel his body forward and that leg behind, making the circularity we see in elite runners. Driving up, again, it kind of looks like, well, maybe he's going to really overreach, but no, he's already activating this extensor system to drive that leg to the ground. Watch it, boom, right underneath. Drive up, boom, right underneath. It is a picture perfect, totally efficient foot under body landing. That is the stride that can propel you quickly, but also waste no energy, and most importantly for ultra running, it's going to preserve his legs. He's not absorbing excess energy into his foot, lower leg, quad. He is driving and landing perfectly underneath him. Perfect circular kinematics driven by powerful vertical kinetic energy. Hip flexion up, foot to ground hip extension, down and behind. Lastly, we're going to look at Jim Walmsley. So this is Jim, and he's got to be at least 80 to 90% of his way through his 50 mile and 100K world record attempts. So he is not fresh. He is in an ultra, and let's watch him run. Because Jim, again, he's not perfect either. He has a tendency to over push. And what I mean by that is he is a little bit of a pusher. He's a little bit more extended at his knee and extended at his ankle. But look what he does so well. He is driving that hip straight up into the air. Powerful upward, forward, but vertical hip flexion strategy. Now let's watch what this foot does when he lands on the ground. Boom, right underneath. Let's bump this back a little bit. Here's some from Western States. Again, driving up, watch where the foot lands, really slamming down directly underneath. So again, flexing up, landing underneath, flexing up, powerful pushing, boom, right underneath his body, extending behind. That is a vertical strategy. That is the elite running strategy that creates that just characteristic kinematic, that vertical circular stride that only comes from a strong upward drive and a strong, fast foot to ground cadence. Strong up, strong down, fast up, fast down.